So, Chains of Domination. It kind of sounds like something from the Goldshire Inn on Moonguard. But no, it's actually Shadowlands' next major content patch. Oh, and Classic TBC confirmed as well. You might be thinking, wow, that's all very surprising. Well, I mean, you read the video title. This all leaked. But it didn't leak maliciously. No covert ops were involved. Blizzard, just uploaded a bunch of stuff to their press website, and they made it public early. By accident. Whoops. Now, with the major sites having covered this, the lid is thoroughly blown off the issue, and that's why it's time for us to talk about what we can expect. Because yes, it's not just a logo or anything like that, no, we actually have the patch fact sheet, we know a lot of what's going on, and also a bunch of the lore direction as well. And that is a direction that will be very, very interesting to watch unfold. And, well, unlike our heroes, we do have to deal with the digital Chains of Domination, but not with today's sponsor, nordvpn.com/Bellular Gaming, code Bellular Gaming, where you'll get a 2-year plan with a huge discount plus an extra month for free. Now, why get a VPN? Right, simple. Do you want to watch content from another region, maybe on Netflix, like look at Japanese Netflix. Very different. A lot of different stuff. So, you want to do that? Use Nord's 5,000 plus servers to choose your location and use the internet like you are there. Now, they also keep you private, and that's big. So, your ISP won't know what sites you're using. That means they can't sell your browsing data to advertisers. It means they can't snoop on you. They can't prioritize some of the websites and the traffic you use over others, which is good. They've also got NordLocker. I mean, 500 gigs of secure storage for £1.10. Damn, and also NordPass for your passwords. You get all this in the app and the browser extension that are super easy to use across all your devices, and yeah, you get a huge discount and a free month at nordvpn.com/Bellular Gaming with that Bellular Gaming promo code. A big thank you to Nord, and Nord, by the way, yeah, sorry that the video we actually planned to do today was, completely destroyed by leaks that actually completely invalidated it. So, epic. Okay, let's go. Alright, so World of Warcraft Chains of Domination is the next major content patch. You can expect to get it after 9.0.5, which is the one we've been talking about a bit more recently. Now, the overall story here is something that we don't really know, but we can essentially assume, plus the fact sheet does spell some things out. So, reading in between the lines, it's pretty obvious that Anduin has been subjugated, and I believe there's actually concept art of that floating around. Of course, if you've been paying attention to the lore, especially hit up, there was one of the videos we did earlier this year, the whole thing is that Anduin has been captured and they are using the sort of gear of domination to basically capture his mind and make him a servant of the jailer. Now, the thing about the lore that you may not be aware of if you don't pay attention to these things is that that's what happened to Arthas. We did a two-parter on that one. Pretty damn big, and now 100% confirmed. So, Anduin is there basically as an unwilling minion. Now, he will, of course, as we see him, I'd say very likely think that he's in control and all of that stuff, because that's what, like, the Helm of Domination and all that sort of did to Arthas. So, Anduin, he's a villain for a while. A bunch of people have been thinking, though, oh no, Anduin's going to die. No, I highly, highly doubt. I think it's a 0 chance that Anduin actually dies by the end of this patch. So, that's the Anduin bit. Now, overall, what we understand is that the jailer is searching for the key to his plan. Now, of course, we know about the Sepulchre. Is he looking for the key to that so he can get some sort of super weapon or some knowledge or whatever? Sort of hard to say. But as a part of this plan, he has pulled over Coryphia, which is a fragment of a long-lost domain, and he's pulled that over to his realm of the Maw. So if you look at this, screenshot, you can see that that is a little snippet of the new zone. We don't really know what it looks like fully. Now, we have talked before about ancient civilizations. I mean, in the video we just published, right? There are so many hints that the Maw is actually something that was repurposed into what it is today, that there are perhaps, an ancient civilizations that maybe existed there or before the current iteration of the Shadowlands. So I think a lot there could be explored as we see this fragment of this long-lost domain of the Shadowlands. So that could be kind of neat. Now, of course, the big question for me is Coryphia like a new subzone? Like, is it just like, oh, we've added in a few new fragments of the Maw, but it still is the Maw? Or is it a new area that feels different to play? I very much hope the latter, to be honest with you, but the Maw does need some, some updates. Now, in terms of the rest of the story, well, this is interesting. It says that the Covenants are striking back with a campaign to unite the Four. What does that mean? I mean, if we're uniting the Covenants, we assume we're still going to be members of those Covenants, but canonically then, if we're working super tightly together, it kind of, it's sort of unfortunate, I've not published this video yet, but a rough idea that I had is something where you could do a quest where the Covenants come together and basically agree to, like, share power or something, and I'm kind of wondering, could they allow more frictionless Covenant swapping or some decoupling of, like, player power stuff with the lore that is established by this new Covenant campaign? Also, the way that it reads to me is that it's kind of one campaign that every Covenant does instead of like 4 separate campaigns. Hard to say right now though until we get a bit more information. Okay, that's the overall new bit of the world and some of the story, but there is actually quite a bit more, including on the story. And that is because our new 10-boss raid is the Sanctum of Domination. And that's where the Targru is going to be there as a boss, so that's kind of neat. It's also where Sylvanas is going to be a boss, and presumably Anduin as well. Now, this is very interesting because, right, so first of all, this Sanctum of Domination, this is, one of the parts of Torghast. Of course, where we last saw Sylvanas and Tyrande was in Torghast, where Tyrande just legged it and went off chasing Sylvanas. So, we're probably going to get a confrontation of Tyrande and Sylvanas. Just saying that. Now, I would say that if you were going to do one very big, fancy, CG, expensive thing, you'd probably do that confrontation, so it'll be very interesting to see what goes down there. As for Anduin then, yeah, we fight Anduin, but, in what way? Because I think, he's got the helm on, he's got the gear on. Now, remember, whenever Arthas kicked the bucket and the helm kind of came off him, it sort of seemed like he got a little bit back to himself. He's asking his father, is it over, as if he's woken up from this sort of living nightmare. So, if that's the case, right, and they're setting up Anduin to be mirroring a little bit of Arthas in terms of at least his current situation. If it's then the case that Anduin can be redeemed there, the helm or whatever pops off and he's back to his old self after we rescue him, of course involving a fight, well, if he then flips back to being the regular Anduin, what does that say about the situation with Arthas? And of course we know that Arthas is almost certainly floating around the Maw. This is also called Chains of Domination. I mean, Domination, Helm of Domination. Also the chains. The Jailer's chains, that used to imprison him, that he sort of was able to turn into a weapon. So, a bunch of stuff going on there with the lore. That's not all though, because, this is very gameplay. It is the new Mega Dungeon, Tazavesh. It's an 8-boss dungeon. I'm interested for some of the lore and flavor of it though, because we're doing hijinks with the brokers. And it is a mythic mega dungeon, so like Return to Karazhan, like Mechagon. Awesome. I'm pretty excited for that, actually. I really like the broker stuff. Seeing more of the brokers would be super fun. And if you check out yesterday's video, or maybe it was the day before, it was like our sort of lesser known like lore discoveries and stuff. A part of that video is basically covering a whole bunch of the lore that's under the surface, like even with your weekly dungeon quests with the brokers, and that's all real interesting, spooky stuff. Now, this mega dungeon is kind of framed as a heist, and like the culmination of it is this like heist of powerful artifacts on Azeroth. That's going to be really cool, right? We're going to be going with these brokers back to Azeroth, and what are we going to get? Because whatever those brokers are going for, we know the brokers want to get the Sepulchre, the same one that the Jailer wants, so it's like, and they're trying to work out Oribos, their new arrivals there as well, and now they're trying to steal stuff from Azeroth. So, what's going on there? I think we're going to learn some stuff. Other things then. Flying! We will get flying, but in the zones of the Covenants. Yeah, good. A grounded World of Warcraft, I'd be totally down for that if World of Warcraft is basically a different game. And with the way that they currently develop the game, I do think that flying makes more sense. And I'd rather they just embrace that and made zones that were designed for flying, like they did in Wrath of the Lich King. But anyway, flying, you'll get it back. Then, new cosmetic armor sets for any class. So that's some stuff we'll be getting with our Covenants. And there really wasn't much detail on the specifics of the Covenant progression, but yeah, we do get a new, a new set to unlock. And that it's for any class, I guess, means is it going to be like armor type based or whatever? Hard to say. Now, this is stuff that is primarily from the fact sheet that came with the press kit. Now, that fact sheet would spell out the major things. And I think that does mean that if you've been waiting for, say, class sets to return, perhaps we should not expect those to return in patch 9.1, right? Because it's probably a further off thing, maybe a 9.2 thing. And overall, to me, 9.1 is essentially what I expected. I mean, the lore stuff with Anduin, I've seen people be really surprised by that, and that's surprising to me because it's been pretty obvious if you've been following the lore. Now, that said, you know, not in-game, right? Because of the way that some of those cinematics unlock. A lot of people will have missed those cinematics, so if you've been reading Wowhead and stuff, then yeah, this lore all does make a lot of sense. But the lore has been very fragmented in a lot of its how it's being told in this expansion. I think that means that a lot of players will honestly just be a bit confused by the stuff that's going on here. So I think that's definitely a bit of an issue. But overall, look, it's what I expected. You know, it's just like an expansion of the Maw with maybe some new stuff, new dungeon, new raid. Yeah. Now, overall, like, it's not gonna, I don't think this is gonna blow us away, but I will say that if this patch has got the benefits of 9.0.5's learnings, and they then get the reward systems right, which I think there's a far higher chance they will versus the launch of Shadowlands based on Blizzard's, you know, changes in PTR and how reactive they've been. You know, if this is just a content drop that is backed up by systems that aren't fighting you, yeah, cool. I actually think this could be a pretty damn solid patch. So that's my overall impressions of this. I'm not really too sure what else there is to do for the super deep analysis, because the thing is, see these press kits and the fact sheets? I mean, this is going to cover like the opening ceremony and maybe like the first few minutes of like the first WoW panel. But there is a full hour of basically deep dive WoW content that is going to tell us what's actually going on with a lot of the details here. And that is really going to be vital to your gameplay experience. So, you know, don't draw conclusions right now. And if you're disappointed, like I was when this stuff came out, to be honest with you, I mean, disappointed that it happened in this way. You know, don't worry. There is a lot more World of Warcraft stuff to come at BlizzCon. And I don't think that this means you shouldn't bother to watch the WoW stuff at BlizzCon. I think that will be full of interesting stuff. It's just perhaps the opening ceremony announcements, you now know about them in advance, and they're floating around everywhere. So that's essentially what's happened. Now, the next thing then, of course, is WoW Classic TBC. Yeah, we all expected that to happen. I don't think I have any incredible analysis to do. Yeah, I don't think I've got a terrible amount else. I mean, basically, right, all those mysteries and weird things that have been, you know, teased by the start of the expansion, we're now going to find out more about. I mean, I'm even thinking, like, you look at some of this realm and there's like some sort of drusty elements to it with like the way those trees looked. So that's sort of interesting. You know, we've got like the jailer and his chains and the broker stuff. So it's kind of like the lore at the start of this expansion just dropped loads and loads and loads and loads of hints. I mean, all this like Oberon, what is that? Who the hell knows? It now seems like this could be the patch that actually tells us the direction that all of these breadcrumbs are going to go in. So I think we're going to learn a lot. That's essentially that. Let me know what you think. Overall, I will say that I am broadly feeling positive towards this. I think that a Tyrande-Sylvanas confrontation in our new raid could be really, really cool. I'm keen to see what happens with Sylvanas, you know, by taking that decision to take out Anduin in that way and, you know, do the whole domination thing. Is that really her just being completely done, you know, irredeemable, gotta get rid of her, gotta kill her? Is it that? There's just, yeah, there's so many questions. Should be interesting. Should be interesting indeed. And to be honest, you'll learn more in my State of Shadowlands video that's coming out tomorrow. In that video, you will learn, though, a lot of the gripes that I've got with a lot of the content. I'll just say that if this is generally a solid slate of content and I can do a mega dungeon with my friends and do another cool raid and then benefit from the PvP gearing system being good and then better gearing systems for, you know, M+ being developed in 9.0.5 through to 9.1, then yeah, I think we're actually in a pretty damn good direction. Oh, I should also mention, conduits and soulbinds, those are being advanced, but like it was just mentioned in the fact sheet, we don't actually know what it's going to look like. That's it. Okay, stuff's done. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for this stuff? Are you, disappointed at what's going on? Yeah, and I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, we'll have to see how things go. We may do a live stream, we may not. Still trying to work that out. And there'll be a bunch of content. It will be an interesting time. And there is a neat little announcement that I do have, but I don't think I can make it right now. But you should see some neat content from that announcement coming out early next week. Okay, that's it for me. If you want to support us, support our sponsors and also get some great VPN goodness, check out Nord with that link down below. So cheers to them, cheers to you, and I'll see you next time.
Mm-hmm.